Here we go.
Okay.
Good morning and welcome back to Speak Easy with Love. My name is Joanna Love, and I am so grateful to be here with this lovely angel, Miss Haley Snow. I'm not going to steal her shine. I'm going to definitely let her have the grace and the light to share all about who she is. But I just want to remind everyone that we are not finished with the month of May. And today we wrap the celebration of motherhood up with this beautiful, beautiful child of love and survivor and warrior of life. And I'm so grateful that she's here with me to really celebrate motherhood and talk to you about how she and her mom have made a really big impact in our world today. So,
Thank
Haley,
you.
why don't you share with us a little bit about who you are, how old you are, and where you're from, and we'll go from there.
Well, I'm 17 years old, and technically now I'm a senior because the last day of school officially ended yesterday.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm a senior in high school at Hillcrest in Tuscaloosa, and I've recently been crowned your Miss Teen Alabama United States, and my platform, Advocating Adolescent Minds, gives voice to mental health in youth.
Wow. So what a huge achievement. And
Thank
for
you.
those of you that are watching and unfamiliar with pageantry, you know, the beauty and the grace is quite a balance. Not only is, as we can all see, Miss Haley just a beautiful light, but she's also chosen to use her light through the vessel of pageantry and live her life with purpose and share her cause so that she can uplift and support other young women and men just of her age and even more than that. So being crowned Miss Alabama most recently, I was there. It was a beautiful thing to observe and watch.
Thank
She is every bit the gem that she appears to be and shines even brighter in person. But Haley, you didn't just, acquire this light. You really went through some fire to polish your diamond and shine so bright. Share with us a little bit about why your platform is so important to you and so meaningful.
Right. Well, I started experiencing mental health struggles at a very young age, specifically at the age of 10 years old, because of abuse from my father and isolation from my peers. And it really took a toll on me, and it made me feel like, you know, I wasn't good enough and I couldn't reach goals in life. So when I started doing pageants, I actually stopped from that reason, and thank goodness this one just jumped out at me and I took the
Yeah.
opportunity because I honestly thought that it was over with. And there were times where I felt like I didn't even want to be here anymore. And I just felt like I'm not the only person that goes through this, and a light needs to really be shine on this topic because not enough people take it seriously.
Yeah, and I really think that the pressures and the energy that we feel as children, especially at that young age, and you had made mention, like the ages of 10. Goodness, that really for a young lady, and I can only speak because I was once one myself. I'll never know what it's like to be a young man. But at that age, we're really starting to develop our emotions a little more predominantly. We have our hormones that are charging in, and we're starting to think about things. We're at school, we're feeling the pressure of friendships, we're feeling the pressure of expectations from our home life and what
Absolutely.
our parents expect from us. And more than anything, I think that the one thing that people fail to forget is that children are always watching their parents. Children are always listening to them and hearing what they're saying even when they think they're not being listened to, right?
Yeah.
I remember observing my parents and seeing all the different dysfunction that they went through too.
Yeah.
And it molds you and it shapes you and it can stress you out, you
Yeah.
know. You had mentioned a word isolation, that you were isolated from your peers. What does that mean?
Well, I honestly, I was bullied, but even more than that, because of things that I was struggling with at home, I felt like I was alone. And not having friends on top of that to support me, I felt like I had no one to support me. And I just felt like, in the hallways, I was just by myself.
Yeah.
And it was just everybody else was a crowd and together in a group. And then there was me. And I feel like I tried my best to put myself out there after a while and try to make new friends. But honestly, kids can be brutal. And they were. And I just felt so
Yeah.
alone and
And when
secluded.
they don't understand the emotion that you're processing, that
Exactly.
can make you feel even more. I mean, I don't know about you, but I came from a household where we don't talk about things that happen in the house. And what happens in this house stays in
Absolutely.
this house. And so I never really shared some of the things that was going on at home. I never,
Absolutely.
shared when I got, my ass kicked, for lack of better words. And, you know, um, I was isolated too. And for me, my mama's way, and bless her heart, I think she did it out of fear, but her way of sheltering me from the world to protect me from her fears was always
Absolutely.
punishing me. So I
Yeah.
was grounded all the time. I was more inside looking out the windows than I was outside seeing the world.
Yeah.
And that isolation. So when you had said the word isolation, I really felt that, because I really felt like that was a form of being isolated, felt like a form of abuse, looking
Yeah.
back in. And it did affect my friendships, because when a lot of my friends were able to go out and bond and do things that were very
Exactly.
innocent and playful and fun, I wasn't able to. And so
Exactly.
I missed the boat on some of that bonding and some of that, friendship clicking, where things just click in and become. And I think
Exactly.
that's really important virtue for kids. Um, yeah. Did you experience that as well?
Yes, ma'am, I did. I just felt like, everybody acts like their life is perfect. Like
Mhm.
everybody wants to put on the facade that nothing is wrong and everything's happy and positive. And I honestly, believed that everybody else was happy but me.
Right,
So
right.
I just felt like I couldn't relate to
Hmm.
anyone.
And what was the dynamic at home? Were your parents married when you were younger, or and okay, and
Yes, ma'am.
so when did that change?
Well, they got married a little shortly. I think I was in kindergarten when they got married.
Okay.
So they were good, believe it or not. I used to be like, super involved with my dad and we would do things together, but unfortunately he got addicted to alcohol.
Hmm.
And,
That'll do it.
addictions can be, really hard on anyone with
Yep.
any addiction. And he started to get physically and mentally abusive to
Yeah.
my sisters and my mother. And finally, one day, my mother just had enough and she divorced him. And when that happened, people get really sad. But honestly, it was a blessing because it
Mhm.
took us out of that situation.
Right.
And now we're all together in a happier, healthier home and we can sleep at
Yeah.
night.
Yeah.
Like we couldn't even sleep at night.
Yeah. And that's there's something to be said about that. I'll tell you, from a mom standpoint, it is not easy, breaking your family up.
Of course.
And it is not easy, reckoning with those energies, but it is important sometimes. And like you said, as hard as it might be, and as tragic as it might sound, to be divorced and to, break a family apart, sometimes, um, the pieces just aren't fitting.
Exactly.
So they're not really whole anyways, right?
Exactly.
And when you eliminate the dysfunction, you can find wholeness in different ways. And as a mom, sometimes you have to really make those big decisions for your family. And sometimes those decisions are not made with dad.
Yeah.
So I really support you in
Thank
the
you.
fact that you support your mom through all this
Yes, ma'am.
and can see the value there. That's a virtue in itself.
Yes.
So how old were you when your parents were divorced?
I think I was about, what, I was 15.
Okay.
So, that 5 years of abuse and, just struggling with my mental health, anxiety, suicidal thoughts, and depression.
And what did that look and sound like to you?
The abuse or the depression?
Both. So when you were hearing the abuse, what did an average cycle of abuse come through and look like in your household?
Well, with kids bullying at school and everything, I came home one day and I sat my parents down. I was just devastated. And I told them that I had thoughts about, taking my life and me not wanting to be in this earth anymore. And my father literally looked at me and said, "That is stupid middle school stuff. I don't
Mhm.
know why you would feel that way. Like, can you just leave me alone and get out of my face?"
Mm.
It tore me apart. But
Mhm.
my mother came in my room and she sat me down and she talked to me about it. And we got help, and I went to therapy and talked to someone. I got on medication for a little while, but she was really my rock, and she was always there for me when
Good.
my father wasn't. So that's basically how it looked. Like, basically, dad was just unemotionally available
Available.
to everyone, and alcohol and things like that. That's what he cared about. That was his life. But
Right.
mom
And
really wanted to glue everything together, and she was trying so hard,
mm,
and then she realized that she just couldn't.
yeah, and I think there's a lot of moms out there that can really relate. I find, I was the glue and the tape in my family too. And it's really hard to hold things together that are not, like you said, available to be held together.
Right.
And that's a very, you had mentioned two words that are very profound, unemotionally, or emotionally unavailable.
Mm-hmm.
Emotionally unavailable. And I say that out loud more than once because um, woman to woman, right? This is just me and you talking. It's very common as we grow through phases of our life when people in our lives, like our fathers, are emotionally unavailable. It's very common that we attract that in our relationships,
I was just about to ask you that question. I
and
was
we don't
about to
mean to.
ask you, how has that affected your relationships later on in
Oh,
life?
it it so it morphed into different things. So I think that what I thought was emotionally available in one relationship was very different in another, but it translated in many relationships up until the one that I'm in right now.
Yeah.
And I came from an environment that was also riddled with alcohol and very verbally and physically and emotionally abusive.
Mm-hmm.
Anything from verbal attacks, words that just hurt,
Of
to
course.
physical attacks that just hurt. Or it would go the opposite of silence and the form of abandonment that just
Right.
hurt, right? And so
Exactly.
there were many levels of that abuse. It wasn't just like one way. And for me, my father wasn't part of my life until my adult life. And so I received a form of abandonment,
Right.
right? Many, many years. But my stepdad was this sort of pillar of male energy in my life. And
Yeah.
he was at a very young age, had found out that he was going blind.
Oh my goodness.
And mhm, and he turned to alcohol to cope. And that alcohol made him less and less and less available.
Exactly.
and more and more and more verbally abusive. And then the controversy that would become between him and my mom that I got to watch was just horrible. I mean, it was
Yeah.
a horrible example of love.
Yeah.
I learned at a very young age that love hurts, love is complicated, love, yells, love is hard, right? All those sad country songs. That's what I, I learned love was.
Yeah.
And then as I got older, when I was reintroduced with my dad, there was another sort of energy of male. He didn't necessarily have alcoholism in his life, but he had that emotional sort of detachment.
How did that
And
come to? I'm sorry for interrupting you.
go ahead,
How did
please ask.
that come to be like he was a part of your adult life, but not a part of your childhood? If you are comfortable with
Yeah.
answering that question.
Well, and this is something that I don't necessarily know all the answers. It kind of goes back to that word isolation. When I was a
Mm-hmm.
young girl and my parents were divorced, um, there was a fight between who was going to have custody over me. And from what I understand, my mom hid me. She was afraid that she was going to lose me. My dad was going to take me. Again, I was a young girl through all of this.
Exactly.
The stories, my goodness, the stories, they morph into many different stories. I stopped asking because
Exactly.
no one really shares a fair story, if you know what I
Right.
mean.
Right.
And
Everybody
none
has
of
their
it
own
feels good.
side.
Yeah, none of it feels good. It's all their stuff, their arguments,
Exactly.
their dysfunction. And I always would like to say, even though I'm 46 years old today, I'd like to say I'm still a child here. And even though I'm a mom to four kids, I'm still someone's child.
Yeah.
And the child in me still wants to know that my parents care. The child in me still wants to be able to talk to my dad and my mom about stuff like a child.
Exactly.
You'll always be that. And I think the hardest part was not knowing why. I really missed knowing my own personal father. And as I got older in life, especially at your age, and I remember I was entering my senior in high school,
Yeah.
and all of my girlfriends were, doing the father-daughter dance, and they were, just
Yeah.
make my heart cry. And I miss my dad. And I wanted to have that, even if it wasn't good. I wanted to know what it was.
Of course.
And I remember my godmother, who is my father's sister, reaching out and coming out to visit and reunited us. And it took a long, I mean, I'd want to say that even at my age, we're still trying to rekindle our relationship and discover who we are today
Of
because
course.
of who we couldn't be all along. But everywhere in between, there was dysfunction.
Right.
And everywhere in between, I can say personally, as a mother who chose to show up for my children, who chose to be that rock, who chose to make big decisions for us,
Yeah.
it is a choice to be in your child's life. It is a choice. And, I'll never know why he chose to not be there relentlessly. All I know is he wasn't. And I'm grateful he is there today. And I've had to sort of let go of all the stories,
Right.
let go of all the past, and learn to just love my parents for who they are today,
Of course.
including my mom.
Of course.
And as a mom, I realize decisions are hard to make. I've been through enough things now that I know that I'm not perfect. And my children might
Yeah.
look back at me and be like, my mom did this or my mom did that. Who knows what they're going to end up saying? They might need therapy themselves. And because I haven't made the most perfect decisions. So motherhood in itself comes with a whole big ball of energy that is a lot of, just like you're experiencing, a lot of can be, you know give you a lot of anxiety and
Of course.
stress because you want to make the right decisions because they're not just for you, they're now for your children.
Yeah.
But what I will say is that being emotionally unavailable, it trickled through my life in many forms. And I found that I was choosing friendships that appeared to be really cool on the outside,
Hmm.
but never really satisfied me internally because the people that I was choosing to connect with were emotionally unavailable.
Exactly.
And that felt isolated. That made me feel, even if I was in a room full of people, because I wasn't able to emotionally connect in a truthful space, maybe about what I was going through or
Of
what I
course.
was really feeling, I could feel alone. And I think that is part of that mental energy, that mental anxiety, or that mental wellness, or that mental peace,
Right.
knowing the difference. Because when we're mentally feeling balanced and whole, when we're with people, we ourselves are more connected,
Hmm.
and it changes what we attract. And I know that throughout my life, I was going from one relationship, especially with male
Yeah.
energies that were appeared to be great guys, but were not
Right.
emotionally available. They just weren't.
Exactly.
And it really riddled my life and affected my children
Yeah.
in ways that I never wished for. So from one woman to the next, really be mindful of that emotional, unavailability, because as we grow up and as you grow up,
Right.
you'll um, you'll want that emotional connection from
Yeah.
others, and sometimes you'll want it so much that you'll take whatever's there,
Exactly.
and that usually is the biggest dead end,
Yeah.
and sometimes can lead us to the most traumatizing relationships, because when we try to force someone that is not emotionally available to be, never works out.
Exactly.
Has that shown face in relationships? You're what, 17 now,
Yes,
18?
ma'am.
So do you have a
I'm
boyfriend?
17.
Are you in a relationship now?
Well, getting a little personal. It's a little complicated. I have, I don't know what your opinion is on falling in love at
Yeah.
15, but it almost feels that way. I'm sure when I get older, I'll look at it completely different. But right now, I have, you know, known someone that I love and care about for 3 years, and
Awesome. Love is a
we
beautiful thing.
we both went through, like, we've been through so much. Like, both of us have been through the same things, and we can relate to each other, but that also hurts us
Yeah.
in a relationship together. So I think with maturing and age, it's going to come later on. But right now, it's just kind of complicated.
Well, and sometimes I call that a healing relationship, a relationship in which two of you are both experiencing things that you can relate to. And it provides opportunity for you each to heal yourselves through the mere reflections and the honesty and the availability that you're able to provide for each other. I do think that there's a wisdom that comes in maturing, but I don't think it's without reason that at any age we can heal and we can discover that through people.
Right. Um, Totally off topic, but back to mothers, I was just thinking how, I'm young enough to realize that being a parent is hard. And, you know, I think that, nothing's ever going to be perfect, but mothers do try their best to help us and push through everything, because not everything in life is going to be, great all the time.
Right.
But, I can definitely, feel the caring and the love and everything, no matter how bad and ugly it can get.
So, what did you learn? What would you say today that you have taken from this experience and that you have learned from your mama?
Um, what I've taken from it is to be brave and stand up for yourself, and basically overcoming. That's what I've learned. I've learned true bravery and overcoming.
And what do you feel that you're using those learns What are you using those new tools with, that abundant perception of being brave and overcoming? How are you using that in your life today?
Well, I am being brave and speaking up right now with this platform, speaking up about, my life and my story and how you can better yourself. And the other day when I went to school to speak about mental health, I could not stress enough speaking up and telling someone because, it's hard and it's something you have to get through. But once you get through that, I feel like communication is everything, especially with mental health.
Yeah, so tell me, share with all of us what a platform is and what your platform is and how you are using it in your life today.
Well, with pageantry, people think that it's just, pretty girls in dresses, which I mean it is, but it gives us a better and bigger opportunity to shine a light on something that's important to us. And
Hmm.
mental health was something that stood out to me, and I feel like it's something really needed in today's society, especially towards youth and teenagers and people going through changes in their life. So I've created this platform to spread awareness and teach the importance on mental health and how you can take care of yourself.
And what is your platform called?
My platform is called Advocating Adolescent Minds, AAM, and I'm giving voice to mental health in youth.
And what is your vision with this platform? What would you like to see, in a perfect world, in a lane that's free to just cruise through and create and uplift, no limits. What would that look like to you? What would that
I,
be?
Obviously, I want this to grow as big as it can get, but I want Advocating Adolescent Minds to maybe one day become its own organization and its own um, NAMI, like a smaller version of that, and, provide therapy services for people who need it and provide events and activities for people that are struggling.
Yeah. And what kind of therapy and activity events do you think would really create a thrive for kids your age, teenagers your age, and even younger, maybe perhaps even that 10-year-old little girl? What what kind of activities do you think would make all the difference?
The best thing to me is being outside and getting fresh air because honestly, you feel so isolated and alone. And how are you going to get better with that just laying in your room by yourself? I think what really helped me is getting up, getting out of bed, and going outside. And fitness is something that's super important to me and something that really helped me. So I think that fun runs,
Too. I'm a fitness girl. That really got
walkathons,
me out of it too.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, would really help. And I just think that, it's kid friendly. Like kids love playing outside. And it's something that really helps you open up and feel like you're a part of something and feel like you can breathe and take a relaxing moment.
And, do you offer any sort of community or enrichment for moms and children, and, like families that can really relate to your story?
I have created a website with family resources and
Awesome.
conversation starters
Ooh,
to
that's awesome.
exactly to help start the conversation because it is hard to talk about and it's difficult. And I'm hoping to um, have a video of me on the internet with me and my sister talking about how to start that conversation and how to really communicate because I feel like communication again is one of the most important steps in recovering and healing.
Yeah, I mean, communication can either be the death sentence, right? The trigger to abuse that feeds the cycle of abuse, or it can be the beautiful tool that feeds the cycle of healing. So how would you start the conversation? What do you recommend? If you are a friend or a mom, even perhaps, and your child is struggling, what do you suggest? What would you share to someone like me if I was feeling like my daughter needed some support? How would you support me in that journey?
Of course, you can simply just ask them how they're doing and ask them how they're feeling, but you can also, take them out, invite them to do something. If you're noticing that, a loved one or a friend is just, unavailable and not communicating and just laying in their bed, not being responsive, you can invite them to do something with you and make them feel comfortable with you and just show them that you care. So, doing little things like sending them a message or, you know, going out to eat or taking a walk, even
Yeah,
just
yeah.
hanging out, talking on the phone really just opens up their hearts and makes them feel comfortable, and you can show them that you care.
Awesome. And when you had made mention that you were able to visit some classrooms, when you did that, what ages of children were you speaking to?
It was a middle school that I recently went to,
Okay,
and it was 6th through 8th grade.
awesome.
And I shared a presentation with them. But for elementary schools, I've spoken to one elementary school class, and I actually have the book up here. Something that's super important to me, and it is called Hector's Favorite Place, and
Yay.
it explains anxiety to kids in a very child friendly way.
Simple way. Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. And it just, it's, I relate to Hector so much. This is a big part of my platform because Hector is so, to himself, and he doesn't want to go and hang out with his friends, and he gets scared of what other people will think about him or how he will mess it up. And it basically just teaches kids that you need to get out there and push yourself to make new friends and, you know, do activities.
That's awesome. And so when you go into the classroom to talk with these kiddos,
Of
you
course.
share with them this story. That's the way that you break the ice and start chatting.
Exactly.
Awesome. Very cool. And I just I can't say it enough what an incredible opportunity you gift each person that is ready to receive from you.
Thank you.
Because this, like you said, communication is a huge bridge,
Yeah.
and it really allows uh, massive miracles to be shared through you when we speak with that love,
Of
and
course.
we speak easy in a place of knowing from our heart that this is a conversation that matters, and that the person that we are in front of, or the peoples that we are in front of, we make ourselves emotionally available
Of course.
to have that conversation. And that in itself is really feeding healing. And when we feed healing, we're feeding that mental wellness.
Right.
And goodness, I don't know a person that has never, found hurt in their life, that has never experienced anxiety or
Exactly.
stress or trouble.
Exactly. It affects
You know,
everyone.
it does, it does. And sometimes, for whatever it's worth, our communities, our cultures have been taught that to experience that is shameful, and to hide it and to not talk about it.
Of
But
course.
my goodness, it is young ladies like you that say, no, we're talking about this.
Exactly.
And it's okay to talk about it.
Exactly.
And it's okay to have trouble, or to feel anxious, or to have stress, or to even have hurt, and to go even deeper and to show that transparency, like, hey, I didn't come from a perfect upbringing, and hey, my parents weren't perfect, or my household isn't perfect, or I'm not
Exactly.
perfect. And because I'm not perfect, I can share with you some of the things that I did to help me feel better as I grew and moved through it. And
Exactly.
that's really awesome. It takes a whole lot of courage to do that. I'm so grateful
Thank
that
you.
you are able to be available to do that.
Thank you.
That's really cool. So I have one more question for you. If you were to think of yourself as a thumbprint, right? And when you look at like a crime scene investigation, right?
Okay.
And someone comes in and they're taking fingerprints to see who was there, and they notice what fingerprints were all over this scene. If you were a fingerprint and you were left all over life, what what thumbprint would you be leaving behind? What would you want left behind on the hearts that you connect with and the people that you touch? What would you want your thumbprint to be left in life?
That is a really good question. Um, what I would want to leave behind to everyone is basically openness
Mm,
and, you know, showing them that they can speak up and they can be themselves and truly who they are and tell how they feel. I would just hope to leave the impression on someone that they can, talk about their struggles and open up to people and not be so closed off.
yeah. I think that's a really awesome thumbprint.
Mm.
I can really relate to that. That is definitely when I answer that question myself. It is wanting people to know that they matter and
Exactly.
that they matter enough to be seen and heard,
Exactly.
and that makes all the difference.
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much,
Thank you
Miss
so
Haley
much.
Snow, for
Thank
joining
you.
me today. And I just want to say, from one mama to the next, that you will birth many things
Thank you.
and hopefully become a mother yourself of many children too. And, between then and now, I hope that every miracle that you birth, whether it is your seed thought of knowing that you can connect and make a difference, to being in a classroom full of children and shining your light,
Thank you.
to filling the space within your own heart of motherhood in time, that you always know that it is because of the places you've learned from. Your gifts become what you connect with the most. And I really appreciate you. And I remember, from the moment that I first saw your beautiful light,
Thank
you are
you.
going to be such a difference maker. So
Thank
please,
you.
my dear Lord, please, 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 I ask that you are gifted always with this beautiful light and this grace and this peace to continue. Will you do me and all of us a great jest, and just close your eyes and take a breath with me, and say a little prayer and bless this day?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, well, let's just take a deep breath into our beautiful hearts, and just draw on the light. And I ask that this light continue to bless us with miracles and give us all that we need to do what we are called to do. I thank you so much for giving us this beautiful little girl, Miss Haley Snow, and that she always knows that she matters, and that she continues to grace our world with her light and her love and her truth, to shed that light and that love and that truth upon others so that they may feel the courage to do the same by their own right. We ask that her hands be blessed with the kindness, the healing that is gifted, so that everything she touches becomes another blessing. We ask that her lips be graced with beauty and kindness, so that everything that she speaks is done with your love and the power of your love, so that it can heal others through each and every word she shares. And we ask that every bit of her being be blessed, so that as she walks through life, she knows that she is the source of the ultimate connection through you, and that gives the availability to that emotional connection, that emotional healing, and that emotional peace that grounds each person she comes to fruition with, so that we can heal through her and with her, by her grace, by her love, by her power, by her miracle. Let us all take a deep breath in and feel that reflection as it comes to us and through us and becomes the joy that we all receive today in healing and in wellness. Take a deep breath in. And slowly open our eyes and become more and more of this moment. Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much for shining back to me all that I could ever ask for from you.
Thank you for this opportunity to come and speak with you.
Absolutely. I am looking forward to creating with you and to connecting with you in this light and to using our forces together
Of
to
course.
do great things.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Thank you. I hope you have a beautiful and blessed day. Thank you for stepping
You as
forward with
well.
me in this light to speak easy with love. All right, everyone. Happy Saturday, and thank you so much for tuning in with us. I hope everything that comes to you comes easily and with light and love. May you all speak easy with love. Have a good day, everyone.
Bye.
Peace.